All right, hello and welcome to another session of FitEssentials. This is our FitEssentials basics class today. We'll start with our disclaimer and then we'll roll right into it. You're about to engage in intense physical activity. Proceed with caution. Do not attempt to perform any activities or movements that exceed your current physical capabilities. Participants with injuries, high blood pressure, chronic health conditions, recent chest pain, or that have any other conditions that may limit their ability to participate in this activity should consult their physician or healthcare provider before proceeding. All right, crew, you can either start standing or in the chair, whatever feels best for you. We're going to start with our breathing. So hands in front of the chest. Let me just get my head in the video. Might help. Palms in front of the chest. Feet right underneath the hips if you choose to stand. Breathe in, stretch up nice and tall. We're going to do our 3 cycles here for those of you that know. Exhale, relax the arms down. Very good. Breathe and reach. Exhale, relax. Fantastic. One more. Breathe and reach. Lift up out of the hips, up out of the neck. And we'll extend the fingers, extend the wrists all the way through. Very good. We're going to shift our weight to the side. If you're up on your feet here, we're going to engage the glute, push that back hip forward. We're going to reach in front of the body and cycle it around. Very good. So push the hip forward, reach forward, and all the way back. Fantastic. Once more before we switch sides. Up and back. That's the way, and then we'll just pivot that other direction. Same thing, other side. In that hip hinge, and then we're going to reach and rotate. Fantastic. Reach out and back. One more time through. Reaching. Very good. Make sure you're not going to slam your hands into anything. We're going to go arm swing. So cross the arms in front. Palms face away from you as you sling back. Alternate which arm comes on top. If you want to add a little side step to it. There you go. Start to get some blood flow going here. Very good. We're going to take that either into a jumping jack or a step jack. So now we'll bring the arms back to overhead, stepping side to side. Fantastic. Very good. Couple more. There you go. And smile as you reach up to overhead. Turn up your lips as you turn up your hands. Get some good happy hormones going. And we're going to take that into a march. Raise the knees. And we're going to punch across the body. So trying to keep the hips nice and neutral as you reach across the body. Very good. You can coordinate that breathing. I like to exhale as I punch. Good. 2, 1, and now we're going to practice some balance here. Walking the feet a little bit wider. Make sure your shoulders are stacked right up over the hips. Arms out to the side or up to overhead. And we're going to shift our weight, pulling up through the core. Really grip your toes down as you shift to one side. And then when you're ready, up and across to the other side. Good. And we're going to spend some time here. So just take your time, nice and patient. If you need to shake out those arms at all, drop them down, bringing them back up. Good work. Shift and reach. Again, really lifting up through the midsection. That's just going to help with that balance. Really nice. Couple more each side. It's normal if you start to feel that glute firing, if you feel a little bit wobbly on your ankle, your body's just really working that proprioception.
Who knows that?
Your balance, adjustments, good job. Let's go one more each side, over.
That's a big word.
And back. Bruce is questioning the word proprioception. All right, shake out those arms. You can either use a band or if you can reach your hands behind your back. Oops. Behind the back stretch. And extending those elbows, lifting up. Pulling that chest open. Good. There you go, Ann. And then you can either stay here, walk your feet nice and wide, pull the belly in so you're not arching the back, ribs down. Push your knees wide in that forward fold. There you go, good. And then push through your heels, coming back up to the top. Fantastic. We're going to go one more cycle through, getting a little bit more blood flow, and then we're going to get our glute firing a little bit more. So this time either jump jacks or seal jacks, arms to the side. There you go. Good. Like to go see some seals on the ocean side. About 10 more seconds here. Next, we're going to go either back to that march and punch, or if you feel good with a skip, you can turn it into a skip. So the skip would be like a march with a little hop, or the march and punch. So whatever is most appropriate for your body. Here we go. Nice. Fantastic. Another 10 seconds. And then we're beginning to go one more minute of that sway exercise. So a little bit more practice with the balance today. Go ahead and set the feet a little bit wider than the hips. Arms to the side or up to overhead. Pull up through the midsection, and then we're going to just practice that shift. Remember, if you're like, this isn't that hard, you can always close your eyes, and then it's a whole different ball game. But if it's challenging as it is, just find something straight ahead to focus on. Speak kindly to yourself. Balance is one of the most common things that I hear people just beat themselves up about, how horrible their balance is, or trying to get it better. Practicing here. We're halfway through, another 30 seconds. If you need to rest the arms down, shake them out, and then bringing them back in when you're ready. There you go. I know, and I feel it too. Shoulders are starting to burn. You're not alone. Fantastic. And shift. Good, Kelly. Let's get about one more each side, lifting and holding. Taking it back. And relax. Good job. Shake out those arms. Woo. Nice. Walk those feet in so that they're just underneath the hips. Toes are pointing straight ahead. We're going to go into our Jefferson curl. Hands on the thighs, chin to the chest, and just nice and slow here. Starting to reach towards the ground, waking up the back side of the body. And find where your bottom position is. My knees aren't locked out. There's just a little bend there. I'm feeling a stretch into the back. Breathe here. And then when you're ready, push into your heels as you stand, tucking your tail under, so tuck under your hips, and then all the way back to the top. Fantastic. Feet a little bit wider. You can either go hands on the shoulders or palms together, interlace the fingers up to overhead. So your choice. We're going to be side bending here, really stretching out that side body. Breathe in to lengthen and exhale. Breathe. And exhale. Nice. Couple more. On this last one, if you feel stable enough, get a little bend in your knees. As you bend to the side, you can turn your bottom shoulder so that you're looking up towards the sky. Gives a little bit of a twist into the torso. Then back to neutral, back to center. Same thing other side. Bend to the side. And again, if you feel stable, you kind of turn your heart towards the ceiling. And then back to center. Fantastic. Shake out those arms. We're going to stretch out those quads next. So if you're able to grab the foot, we're going to look to grab the foot, pull the heel towards the glute. If you can't quite get that foot, stand in a long lunge and push that hip forward. Open those hip flexors the best you can. Shoulder back. Let's go 20 seconds here. And whenever we're doing stretches here, we don't want to stretch so much that you're grimacing and you're like, oh my gosh, this hurts so bad. Just gradually encourage your body to increase your range of motion, keeping your muscles long. We keep our muscles long so that they move well at the joint. Very good. Go ahead and relax. And before we go to the other side, let's go ahead and circle those hips around. Good to see you, John. Hands on the hips, circling side to side. Very good. And same thing other way. Very good. And then again, either that lunge hip here, or again, if you can grab that foot, balance as needed, and pulling that heel up towards the glute. Keeping yourself as square as possible, 20 seconds here. And as we're moving through these stretches today, we do a pretty wide range of stretching. So just take note which ones really speak to your body. And they're great to, like, you know, obviously we want to stretch our body ideally more than twice a week. So take note of what feels like your body really benefits from that and try to do some of those on a daily basis. And relax there. Fantastic. Let's go ahead and make your way to a wall here. Elbow up on the wall or a doorway. We're going to open up the chest. Once you get that arm about, with the elbow about shoulder height, step your inside leg forward, and then you're going to lean your upper body into it. So you start to open through the chest and then turn your torso away like you're trying to look over the opposite shoulder. And again, just kind of looking to isolate the front of the chest on that side that's against the wall. I don't remember if I specified which side to start on. Fantastic. Come up out of that stretch and then take your elbow and look to slide it against the wall. Now I'll step like my outside leg forward, and then I'm just kind of leaning into it, trying to bring my elbow up above my head and then bringing your side body towards the wall. Just get a nice stretch into the tricep area. And relax out of that. And then let's turn the other direction. Starting with the chest. Again, elbow right about shoulder height. This time the leg closest to the wall steps forward. Lean into it and turn your torso away. Peer over that opposite shoulder. Nice deep breaths. There you go. One more breath here. Walking the feet back in, working that elbow up the wall, trying to bring it above your head. And now we're going to switch the feet. So now the outside foot steps forward and just kind of work yourself into it, stretching out that tricep a little bit into the side body. And pay attention to your head. We tend to jut that head forward. So pull the chin in, look straight ahead. All right, fantastic. Go ahead and shake it out. So for our first circuit today, I'm going to be demonstrating everything from an elevated position. Those of you that know glute bridges down on the floor, if you want to bridge on the floor, you can. If you have a chair that has handles and you feel secure here, you can do a bridge here where shoulders are back. You push the hips up and forward and down. So it can also be done on your back with your feet flat on the ground. It's a glute bridge. Okay. If you don't have a chair, you don't feel sturdy there, then join me for a good morning. You could do it with weight or without weight. This is where you're just going to simply have the hands over the chest, bowing forward, and then engage the glutes and stand. So it's a glute exercise. We're looking to bridge the hips. I'm going to show it from the good morning. Okay. And we're going to go upwards of 12. So I'll just kind of walk us through it. If you are going to the floor, go ahead and get into position. Otherwise, join me standing here. So for the good morning, feet underneath the hips, toes straight ahead. Slight bend in the knees, hands across the chest. And we're going for reps instead of time on this part here. So long spine, hinging over, fire the glutes as you stand. Sending the hips back till you feel a little bit of a stretch in those hamstrings. And again, all the way up. Fantastic. If I can count, we'll go upwards of 12. So just move at whatever pace feels good for you. Making sure that your knees aren't hyperextended, so there's a little bit of bend in my knee as I focused on hinging those hips back. Very nice. Over and up, and whenever you stand, you get a smile, give a little good morning. I'll always remember the client that whenever we warmed up with good mornings, he was in my 5 a.m. class back in the day, and every time he stood up, he'd say, good morning, with a big smile on the face. Sometimes you're like, it's a little too early, and then other times you just got to appreciate that energy. And last one. Very nice. From here, we're going to move into a side plank. So again, if you know it down on the floor and want to do that, I'm going to show it elevated. So we're going to go both hands on the surface, walk your feet back. If you don't feel stable to go to one shoulder, just hang out here while we do this side plank, or pivot your body to one side. So I'm really focused to lift up out of that bottom shoulder. And now I'm going to reach over my head. So hand to the shoulder, and I'm going to reach upwards of 12 times. So if you haven't started, just join me when you're ready. Really paramount not to collapse in that bottom shoulder, and you want a little bit of give in that elbow. So if you tend to be someone that's fairly hypermobile through your joints, make sure that you're not locked out through that elbow. Good job. Feeling those glutes fire, or more obliques rather. Down and up. Couple more. Down, reach, down, and reach. Fantastic. Go ahead and give a break from that side. Walk it in, walk it up, and make sure you know I was on the left side. So if you weren't the same as me, you're going to want to shake that out. Just kind of give yourself a moment as we switch sides so that I don't have my back to you. I'm just going to turn this around. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other arm. So place the hands underneath the shoulders, walk your feet back, and then either stay there or pivot your body to the side. If you're holding that front plank, no problem. Just hold it for as long as you can. Hold good positions. And I'm going to take you through 12 overhead reaches here. Very good. Keeping your eye on that bottom arm. Working that stability through the shoulder, core activation. More you utilize those obliques, which are those muscles in the side of your core, those help strengthen your spine. Should be right about 6. Those of you who have been with me long enough, I always remind you that I'm not the best counter as I'm speaking. So if you notice I'm off a little bit, that's why. Let's go about 2 to 3 more. Nice, everybody. And coming on out. Fantastic. We're going to go our thoracic rotations next. So you can either come down on your hands and knees for those of you that know it, or like I said, I'm going to be demoing from the elevated position. So I'm going to take a seat, come into the edge of the chair, one hand behind the head, elbow towards your opposite thigh, and you're going to sit nice and tall. And you can even use your hand on the inside thigh here to encourage that rotation. Let's go upwards of 6. So close down. And try to exhale as you pivot. So blow all the air out of the lungs, encouraging that rotation through the mid-back. Very good. Peer over that shoulder. Let's go one more, and then we'll switch sides. Very good. Same thing, other side. Peer it over the shoulder. Lengthen through your spine. Breathe in as you close, and then exhale on that rotation. Couple more. And last one. Very good. If you have a water bottle around, let's go ahead and take a drink. And then we're going to go through that cycle once more, starting back with those good mornings or the glute bridge, whichever you chose. If you're doing the good mornings and you want to add a little bit of weight, we can hold a weight against our chest. Otherwise, just stick with what we've been doing with the arms crossed over the chest. And again, instead of going for time, we're going to go for reps. So upwards of 12. Feet are going to be just underneath the hips, toes pointing straight ahead. If you're holding a weight here, I've just got it up against my chest. Lengthen through the spine, just a little bend in the knees, and now we're sending the hips back. Long, long spine. If you are really flexible, like in your hamstrings, don't go below about 90 degrees. So once you hit that like flat position, stand from there. Most of us have too much tension in our hamstrings that we don't even think about getting that far down. So just feel that tension, and then you're like, all right, and then stand from there. Holding that belly button in, nice engaged core. Squeeze the glutes as you stand. So really try to squeeze, wake up as much of that muscle tissue as you can. The more we get our glutes to work, the less stress on our low back. It's one of the biggest muscles in the body, so we want to have it all firing for us. Let's get about 3 to 4 more. Great job. Keep that chest nice and tall, and chest up as you hinge. There you go. One more. Over, 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 and straight up. Beautiful. Side planks. Side planks or front planks if that single arm support feels a little bit too much. And remember, you could also use like the side of a couch or the table or a counter. The lower you are to the floor, the harder it's going to be. So I place the hands underneath the shoulders, walk the feet back, and then pivot your body to the side. Check in with that support arm, and then we're going to come up into position. You can either focus on holding there, and I'll do the reps, or you can add your reach. So thumb to the shoulder, and upwards of 12 reaches to overhead. It ends up being close to 30 to 45 second side plank. So be impatient with the position. You feel like you're losing that position or you're really shaking on that bottom arm, and I would advise to come up out of it before we finish. Good. Moving well. Continue to hold, stabilizing. Nice, and last one. Very good. Bring yourself back into position, walk out of it. Whew. Now we'll just kind of twist ourselves side to side before we switch sides. There you go. And then I'll use the chair on this last time here. So again, hands underneath the shoulders. I'll step my feet back and then gently pivot the feet around. Lifting up, reach, and reach. Good job. So I kind of let my hips drop a little bit as I'm moving with the hand as well. So as I reach my hand down, I drop the hips down just a hair, and then I bridge up as I reach to overhead. Or just a static hold is also great. Well done. Right about halfway. And don't forget to smile, even if you're like, what are we smiling about? Just for fun, that you're here moving your body. Celebrate that you're showing up to take care of yourself. These aren't always the most exciting exercises to do, but it's always better done in company. Very good. When you finish there, pivot back around, walking the feet in. And then one more cycle through of those thoracic. Your thoracic is your mid back. So that's just our fancy way to say we're going to do some rotations for our mid back. All right, sitting on the edge of the chair or down on all fours. Hand behind the head, elbow towards that opposite side. And then blow all that air out as you peer over that opposite shoulder. We don't have a whole upwards of 6 here each side. We don't have a whole lot of rotation that happens in our daily life. So we do quite a bit of rotational movements here. Helps keep our body open. And feeling good. Fantastic. Couple more. Last one. Beautiful. Before we go to the other side, so make sure you know I was on the right side. So if you mirrored me, you're probably on your left. Before we switch sides, if you're down, if you're on the floor, child's pose. If you're here, seated, hands on the thighs, and just slide forward, reaching down for your ankles, drop your head between your arms, and focus your breath into the back of your rib cage, like as if you're trying to breathe right between your shoulder blades. One more breath here. And then walk yourself back up. And now we'll sit tall and finish our rotations on the opposite side. Hand behind the head. Again, about 6 cycles here. Sit tall and pivot. Good. Let's get 2 more. Breathe in to close. Exhale to open. Peer your eyes over that shoulder. Try to get 1 more little degree of rotation. Last one. Good job. And shake it out. Fantastic. We're going to be getting ready for our next circuit. It's going to be some upper body and core work again. So let's start with a little bit of a stretch for that upper body. You can either stay seated or if you want to stand up for this one. Those of you that know it, tricep side bend. So we're going to reach up nice and tall. Check in here that you're not arching. So ribs down, bend that elbow, pull that chin in, and then you're going to grab that elbow. And now we're going to bend to the side. Inhale and exhale. Good job. About 5 cycles here. Last one. Very good. Shake that out. And now before we go to the other arm, let's kind of say hello to the neck a little bit. Let's drop your chin towards your chest. And then you're just going to gently kind of start to circle the head around. So I'll start to tilt the head back, look up towards the ceiling, and then circle around so you bring the chin down towards the opposite side. Whenever you're encouraging some movement in the neck, you want to just be nice and gradual. Feel what you feel. Very good. And then after you finish about 3 in that rotation, let's just move it around the other way. So tilt the head back and start to turn it around to the other side. Take your time as you're bringing that chin towards the chest. That will give you a nice stretch for the back of the neck, bringing that chin down. And then again, rolling that ear towards the opposite shoulder, look up towards the ceiling and cycling through. Let's get about 1 more there. And it's common to feel some little catches through there. So just know that moving it around is going to help. And then just gently tilt the shoulders side to side, not shoulders, ears. So some lateral flexion through your neck. Very good. And then triceps on that opposite arm. So reach up, bend that elbow, chin in, everything nice and long. Grab and about 5 times this way. All right, so what we're going to be getting ready for next, and again, I'll demonstrate it all elevated. So between 30 and 60 seconds of a plank row from an elevated position. If you have dumbbells that won't slide around and you're working off the ground, you could do a dumbbell. It's called a Renegade row in that regard. Okay, it's a horizontal position. So I'm going to show it elevated. Feel free to grab a little drink of water. I'll just take a minute here to talk about these 2 movements and then we're going to get going. Hands beneath the shoulders. Elevated position, I don't use any weights. Instead, I'm just focused on pulling the elbow up and in, pulling that shoulder blade in towards the spine, and not letting the back arch. So we don't want our hips dropping in here, okay? Like I said, I'll take you through a full minute, but if you don't quite feel ready for that full minute, I'm gonna tell you at 30 seconds, at 45 seconds. Then we're gonna transition. You can either use bands for an overhead press, or you can hold some dumbbells. This can be done standing with dumbbells, or if you have a band, you need to do it seated. 1 foot around the band, and then it's gonna be alternating arms. So I push one up, bring it down, and then the other, okay? So it'll be an alternating overhead press, either with bands or dumbbells. If it bothers you to go overhead, then do a horizontal press. We're gonna take your band behind the back, and then you're gonna punch straight out. So if your overhead position is not great for you, then go straight out. Okay. You could also, if you don't have bands and you don't feel ready for dumbbells, you can do what we call it an alternating reach. So you're just practicing moving those shoulder blades up and down the spine. Okay. Questions on those 2 movements? We're going to be doing 2 rounds, each of them for upwards of a minute. Again, if you need some rest and you don't want to go for that full minute, then just honor your body, meet yourself where you are, and speak kindly to yourself. Questions before we begin? All right, come on up to your feet. Plank rows first. Go ahead and place those hands right underneath the shoulders. Step the feet back and 2, 1, here we go. Shifting your weight, pull one elbow up. And just like on those side planks, you want to ensure that the arm you're supporting on has just a little bit of give and a little bit of play in that elbow. So don't hyperextend anything. Focus on that midline position as well. So hips are up so they're not sinking down below the shoulders. We want to avoid this position. So no arching of the back. That's 30 seconds. Breathe. Fantastic. And focus your gaze right between your wrists. So I'll oftentimes be looking up at the screen, but once you have an understanding of what we're focused on, keep your head neutral. Look right between your hands. We're 50 seconds in, 10 seconds to go. And 3, 2, 1, and rotate. Fantastic. Take about 20 seconds here to switch gears. I'm going to show this overhead press from a standing position, but you're welcome to sit down if you'd like. Same idea. We're going to be going for a minute. Make adjustments as you need for your body. Feet are just underneath the hips, toes straight ahead. 2, 1, and begin when you're ready. And with so many of the exercises we do, I'll talk about shoulder blades back and down. Overhead positions are our exception. Now we want to get that shoulder blade to elevate up on the rib cage. So I'm pushing up to overhead. Breathe. And again, even though we're not really utilizing that lower body, especially if you're standing, you want to be gripping those toes down, making sure that you're not hyperextended through the knees or arch through the back. Good job. We're over 30 seconds in. That's 40 seconds. Fantastic. Good. There you go. And then, Anne, think about bringing the weight almost over the center of your head instead of out to the side. That's the way. Very nice. Looks good, Kelly. And 2, 1, and transition. Beautiful. Let's go ahead and grab a little drink of water. We're going to give about 35 seconds until we start back on round 2 of that plank row. So just some shorter sets today as we do a little bit longer intervals. All right, folks, 15 seconds. Nice strong position here. Go ahead and start to place the hands underneath the shoulders, walking those feet back, and make sure your weight kind of stays over top of that upper body. And whenever you're ready, pulling the elbow up and high. And this one now, we're trying to keep that shoulder blade down. Your shoulder blade's kind of like the shape of a triangle with like a point of the triangle pointing down your spine, down your torso. So I imagine that bottom of the triangle, like I'm trying to take it and push it in towards the midline of my spine there. Pull that shoulder blade back on the rib cage. That's our 30-second mark. And if you notice, I'm kind of pausing with the hand against that torso so I can just contract and squeeze, strengthening that mid back. Encouraging that shoulder blade to be positioned in a strong position. That's 45 seconds done. And still keeping that core pulled in, no arching of the back. Let's get one more each side. Up and in, and 2, 1, and pivot, rotate, step it in. Fantastic. Last time on that overhead press. All right, feet right underneath the hips, toes pointing straight ahead, and 3, 2, 1, here we go. And once you get the hang of this, you can start to just kind of transition as you move. So as one goes up, the other comes down. When you're first learning, bring down and then push up. And then once you're like, okay, I got this, kind of start to coordinate up and through. Very nice, everybody. Solid. It's like we're trying to walk on our hands on the ceiling or something like that. Very good. That's 30 seconds in. Breathe and reach. Awesome. Keep that upper body strong, keeping the shoulders healthy. Beautiful. That's 45 seconds, 15 to go if you're going off that full minute. No worries if you need to take a break early. Woo. There it is. And 2, 1, and let's shake it out. Nice job. Set those down. Shake out those shoulders. Arm swing side to side. And then let's go ahead and focus on like up and back. Up towards the ears, back and down. One shoulder gives me a little popping and clicking there. Sometimes that really freaks people out. It's not like it's awesome. It's not like it's horrible. It's just our tendons and everything kind of moving around. My husband likes to say he's breaking all the calcium loose off the joints. All right, let's go ahead and repeat that tricep side bend now that we've done that upper body work. So feet a little bit wider, have a nice base of support, reach up, ribs down, grab that elbow and bend to the side. All right, everybody, we just have one more circuit left. And we're going to be working for 12 minutes. So the first cycle, first time through, I'm going to talk you through quite a bit. We'll move a little bit slower. But instead of me taking the time to show everything, we'll just kind of get it started. But as we're stretching here, I'll tell you what we're going to be doing. Like I said, we're going to be working for a full 12 minutes. You can rest anytime you need. We're going to be starting with I'm going to be showing giant steps. If you're someone that knows how to lunge and you're confident with your lunges, then you're welcome to lunge instead of the giant steps. We're going to be doing 8 on each leg. From there, we're going to be going to a deadlift. There'll be 10 deadlifts. Then we're going to be doing 8 of the burpees. I'm going to do them from an elevated position. And then we're going to be doing tuck-ups. If you want to lie on your back for the tuck-ups, you can lie on your back. I'm going to demo from the chair here, where I'm going to come to the edge of the chair, pull one knee up, alternating sides, or if you feel secure in your chair and you have handles to hold on, you can pull both knees up. If you choose to lie down for your tuck-ups, you're going to lie on your back, feet flat on the ground, and then pulling your both knees into your chest. I'll just show one of those super quick. Doop. So it looks like this. Down on the floor, knees up and hips up. The focus on this on the floor is no arching of the back. So really pushing the low back down as you pull the knees up and into the chest. It's a lower core exercise. Okay. Any questions? And like I said, I'll be kind of moving through. You're welcome to interrupt me as we move through if you do have questions on what we're working on. And then once you get the pattern, if you want to move faster or slower than me, just make adjustments from there. And the reps are always suggested, so don't be too attached if you're like, I feel like I should do a couple reps less or a couple reps more. That's totally workable. All right, if there are no questions, we're going to start here in 10 seconds. Starting with those giant steps or reverse lunges. I need my clock to clear. All right, so I'm going to show the lower body here for the first one. So go ahead and come to your feet. Feet about hip width apart. 2, 1, and here we go. Keeping the foot stable as you step back, pull that heel up and forward. We're alternating legs, so stepping nice long step back, front heel planted. Again, if you're confident to lunge, you're welcome to lunge. So working on that single leg strength, good balance, whoop, good grip of the front foot. And it's really key, whether you're doing the giant steps or the lunge, that you step far enough back that you keep that front shin forward. If we take a little step, it's easy to shoot that knee forward. So long step and up. Good. Step and up. So keeping the hips as square as you can. Back, up. Let's get a couple more on each side. Back, up. Last time each side. Very good. From here, we're moving into the deadlifts. So if you have 2 weights, you can hold one on each side of your body. If you have 1 weight, you can go just a little bit wider with your stance and hold it between the legs. I'll show the first round with 2. So long spine like our good morning. Slight bend in the knees. You're going to hinge forward, Take it to about mid-shin or to the floor, squeeze the glutes and stand. So hinging over, we're going upwards of 10 here. Fire those glutes. And then again, once you know what you're doing, have your gaze straight ahead. So looking down towards the floor as you hinge over, looking straight ahead at the top. Holding that chin in. Shoulders back, so you have the weight stay right about your ankles, and versus we don't want to swing out away from us. So use your upper body to keep that weight close. Couple more. Over and up. Very good. Burpees are next. I'm going to show them from the elevated position. If you know them on the floor, you're welcome to it. We're going to do a no push-up version where you're going to place the hands underneath the shoulders, step the feet back, step the feet up, fire your glutes, reach to overhead. Off the floor, the no push-up would look something like this. Top, bottom position, step up as well as you can, and then just like a little reach or a little straight jump to overhead. 8 reps here, folks. Good. Welcome back in. So either from the floor or elevated. And then pay attention, which foot do you tend to step with? Alternate sides. We usually have one side that we're biased towards. Step back, step up. Use those glutes to pull your torso vertical. So fire those glutes, pull yourself straight up, reach to overhead. Let's get about one more. Fantastic. Lower ab work is next. So if you want to lie down or come seated in the chair. About 10 reps on that lower core work. So if you're in the chair here, you can either go both knees together or one leg at a time. We're using that lower core. And we're pulling that belly button in. Again, focus to not arch the back. And as you're pulling that belly button in, though, you're going to feel your core pushing out. That's doing its job. So it's almost like it's bracing your core. That's how we support our spine. So knees up or both knees up. Very good. All right, feel free if you want to grab a drink. Otherwise, we're about 4 minutes in. So we're going to take you through about 2 more cycles. Ends up being about 3 rounds total, going back to those lunges or those giant steps. So feet just underneath the hips. You could also hold a little bit of weight here if you wanted, right up against the chest. So front heel planted, nice long step. If you want to lower that knee down, you're welcome to it, but just keep that front foot stable. Make sure you feel confident for it. Woo! Keep your feet hip width apart as well. Sometimes we tend to step too narrow, and then it's like you're trying to balance on that tightrope. And as you propel forward, drive that heel down, lift yourself up and forward. Good. A couple more each side. My counting and talking skills are really poor. Not that I'm judging myself, just a little bit of a reality right now. All right, everybody, great job. Making our way back to the deadlifts. I'm going to show it with one weight this time. If you have a single weight, you're going to go a little bit wider stance. So we call it a sumo deadlift. Feet outside the hips, long spine, driving those hips back, chin in. Stand tall, squeeze the glutes. Upwards of 10 here. Good. Over and up. Focus on your breath, nice and smooth. Controlling down, knees push out, hips push back. Looks great, nice job. Couple more. Very good. From the deadlifts to our burpees. Woohoo! So elevated is great. Hands to those shoulders, step the feet back. Remember, we're trying to alternate which foot steps up, which foot steps back. So maybe sometimes it's your left, Next time it's your right. Fire those glutes, reach to overhead, good. Give yourself a big smile, celebrate as you come up to overhead, fantastic. And if you're going all over the way to the floor, it oftentimes takes a little bit longer, so just be impatient. Step back, step her up, fire that backside, standing tall. Getting on and off the ground, or on and off this elevated position. Nice job. Let's get about one more, and then lower core is next. Tuck ups. Beautiful. We have about 5 minutes left to work. Remember, if you need a break, need a drink, no worries. All right. So you can use the handles. Again, either one leg at a time or both legs together. And not letting that low back arch. I'm trying to move with control here, have as little movement through that pelvis as possible. Pelvis is your big hip bone that holds everything centered. Very nice. Just waking up that lower core, keep it moving, keep it working. Couple more. Fantastic. All right, everybody, you got 4 minutes left. I'm going to take you through one more full circuit, and then we'll end with some cool down stretches. So feel free if you want to grab a quick drink, and then one more time through. If you're like, hey, I've had enough for today, then just kind of walk it out. Try to keep your body moving and join us for the cool down stretch. So if you want to hold a little bit of weight for this, for the giant sets, I just hold it up against my chest, or you could hold 2 weights at your sides. I like it against the chest when we're first adding weight, because I think it helps keep our chest a little bit taller. Front heel pushes into the floor to propel you up and forward. Nice long step back. Let's get about one more each side. Last cycle of deadlifts is next. So we'll go back to the 2-weight version. If you want to do the single, that's fine. Whatever makes most sense. 2 on each side. Toes are a little bit closer, feet are closer. Tall chest, slight bend of those knees, but then we're hinging at the hips, bowing forward, fire the backside. Long spine, shoulders back. Very good. Over and up. There you go. Kelly's screen froze for a second, so I was like, is she still with us? Very nice. Right about 10 reps here. Over, up, one more. Fantastic. From the deadlifts to our burpees. Ooh, ooh. We got about 2 minutes left to work, everybody. Hands beneath those shoulders. 2 minutes or these 2 exercises, whichever comes first. Step it up, engage the glutes, reach to overhead. Strong midline as you step back and step up. So don't let that back overly arch. Alternating your legs. Fantastic. Smile as you reach high. Keeping yourself vital, keeping your blood flowing, keeping your heart pumping. Nice and strong. Let's get about one more. Beautiful. And then we're going to finish with the lower core. So on your backs or in the chair, when we finish this exercise, you're going to stay wherever you are, whether you're on your back or in the chair. We'll do our cool down stretches to start from here. So either both knees together or one leg at a time. Good, about 10 here. I'm kind of leaning back a little bit as I pull both knees up from the chair, and I'm definitely using my upper body to brace against the armrest. So remember, you can also go one at a time too, just as you need. Those of you that might be on your backs, just really paying attention that you really push that low back into that floor. Let's get about one more here. Good, and relax. Beautiful. Whether you're seated or lying, let's have your knees bent, feet flat on the ground, and walk your feet about hip width apart. From here, we're just going to gradually drop the knees side to side. Just get a little bit of movement into the hips. Almost like a windshield wiper. Great job, everybody. And if you have some water nearby, if you want to grab a drink, air's a little bit dry here today. Those of you that are coming here from Arizona, I know it's not 90 degrees there anymore, so make sure you're still drinking lots of water. I have to constantly stay on myself as well. All right, from there, let's extend out one leg, and you're going to pull one knee towards the same side shoulder. If you're on the floor, actively push your other leg towards the floor, and let's roll that ankle around 3 to 5 times each direction. And then switch directions. Fantastic. And switch legs. That one steps out, other one pulls up and in. Same thing other side. I'm gonna take a little bit of time here, stretch out these hips and legs. And then we'll be all set for the day. Very good. Next, we're gonna move into what we call the glute stretch. So you'll pull a knee towards the same side and then bring it across the body. So on your back, you're trying to pull it to the opposite shoulder. On the seated here, I like to kind of hook my foot here. And then we're just looking to get a little bit of a stretch into the side of the glute, moving the knee up and down a little bit as you feel. We've got a ball and socket joint of that hip. So we want it to keep moving that ball in the socket nice and smooth. So we just see if it's gliding or where we might have a little bit of tension. Awesome job. Switch sides when you're ready. Same thing other way. Pull it up. Bring it across. If you're seated in the chair, you can kind of hook that foot on the opposite leg just to encourage a little bit more stretch across the body. Saying hello to the hip. Fantastic. And then figure 4 stretch next. So you're going to bring the foot towards the opposite thigh on the ground. Reach between the legs. Pull it in. In the chair here, we're going to sit tall. And just gently lean forward. Breathe. And remember what we talked about earlier in the class, no intense stretches. So if it's like, ooh, I want to cry, back out of it just a little bit. Unfortunately, I have seen quite a few injuries from overstretching. So you want to be patient with your stretches. Go ahead and switch legs when you're ready. I had my first back injury last winter that was like an overstretching injury. It was not fun. It just lingered for several months. So sit tall, lean forward, and be patient with your body. And then whenever you're stretching side to side, it's a good time to note, do I feel more stiffness on one side versus the other? In classes here, I always give about equal time on each side, but when you're outside of class, if you notice, so my hip on the left tends to be a little bit more stiff than my hip on the right. So if I were doing some stretches outside of this, I could stretch my left, then the right, and then stretch that tight side one extra time just to give it a little bit more attention. All right, go ahead and come out of that. If you're on the floor, come to a seated position. Be like a hamstring stretch next. You can go that foot in and extend the one leg out. On the chair here, bend the one knee so the foot's flat, extend the other leg. And you're going to sit tall and just gently lean forward, kind of wake up the hamstring a little bit on that side. Reaching down towards the ankles. Yeah, it's like a runner stretch if you're seated. There you go, Kelly. Yep. And sometimes you feel this in the hamstring. Sometimes you'll feel it more in the back. I actually kind of feel a little bit more in my back today. And then when you're ready, come up out of that. Same thing, other side. Walk that other foot in, extend that other leg out, and slide the hands down towards that ankle. Good time just to bow the head down as well. Close the eyes for a moment. Take a couple nice deep breaths. And walk your way back up. Good job. Last one, seated twist. So on the floor, you can twist the leg around, seated here, hand on the opposite thigh, hand to the same side shoulder. We're gonna peer over that shoulder, pivot the arm around, and just work on that seated twist. Nice. Kind of like we're trying to draw a line around a cantaloupe or a big softball, whatever your preference. And when you're ready, relax out of that. Same thing, other side. Sit tall and gently pull yourself into that twist. It's going to be our last one for today. If you notice your thighs are a little bit stiff, or if you have a lot of tension in your knees from time to time, I recommend repeating that quad stretch that we did earlier in the hour, where you're pulling that heel towards the glutes, and just keep those quads nice and loose. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for coming. Great to have you all, and hope to see you next week. It's Thursday already. Hard to believe.
I know. Thank you, Shauna. It was